I bet that I can read your mind. Yes, you. Who else would I be talking to right now? You ready for me to try? Okay, let's go. I sense that you hate online dating. I also sense, isn't this interesting? I sense that you hate cold approaching, because who the hell likes being rejected by drunk chicks? I did pretty well, didn't I? Are you impressed yet? Okay, of course, that was an easy one. Almost everybody hates online dating, and let's be honest, most guys hate cold approaching, and they even more than that, they hate getting rejected. But there hasn't really been a good alternative until now. And this is where we discover lifestyle network dating. What is it? Well, lifestyle network dating is a way to organically and consistently be meeting new women every single week without ever having to face rejection. So what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to quickly map out exactly how lifestyle network dating works, and then we're going to discuss some of the pros and cons to this style of meeting women. And believe me, there are a hell of a lot more pros than there are cons. And of course, guys, don't forget, if you've been enjoying my videos, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, because it helps me so much and inspires me to keep creating more amazing content just like this. So step one, you want to sit down and think about what is your ideal female. Think about her personality. What does she enjoy doing? What are her hobbies? What would she like to get up to on the weekend? What kind of friends does she have? What books does she like to read? What movies does she like to watch? What general interests does she have? What topics does she like to discuss with people? What news stories might she be interested in? And what you're trying to do is really flesh out what kinds of interests do the women you really want to meet have. Step two is creating an avatar of yourself. That is, what would you like to learn? What are your interests? Where do you like to go on a weekend? What topics would you be willing to engage in more? What hobbies would you like to pursue more? What hobbies do you currently have? What magazines do you like to read? What news stories grab your interest? Start to think about this at great detail for yourself, because step three is to find the overlap. Now, what you're trying to do is you're looking at your ideal female avatar and yourself and thinking, okay, what are the hobbies? What are the topics of interest? What are the things that I'm interested in or could be interested in or would like to know more about that this woman, this ideal woman in my mind, that she is already engaged with or interested in? So here you're looking for overlap. And there's a very important note here. If you don't find any overlap, let's say that I'm a guy who enjoys meditating and yoga and being quiet, and I'm an introvert, and my ideal woman likes to go party, has no interest in spirituality whatsoever. There's no overlap, and you really need to start to think about why are you targeting this kind of woman, because you're unlikely to have anything in common. There should always be some overlap, or you need to rethink who your ideal female avatar is, because you're never going to get along with each other no matter where you meet each other. So step four is where you have to start to get creative, because what you're looking for is gathering points for people with those common interests. Now, some of them would be easy, things like courses, if it's a language, if it's a dancing style, if it's a music style, if it's a skill like photography or a skill like meditating, things like this. There's always courses to be done. For a lot of things, there's general interest groups. So if you go to Facebook and type in meditation Sydney or photography Sydney or rock climbing Sydney or indoor soccer Sydney, you're going to find groups dedicated to these interests very often. Meetup.com is a place to look. Another really great area is, depending on what the interest is, there's often free talks on these topics. So, if you have an interest around topics that are more science, technology, history, real estate, self-development, there's talks. There's other talks by companies, talks by education institutions. There's all kinds of things going on. You just have to start looking for the events in your area that relate to these topics. And there always are. So long as you live in a decent-sized city, let's say it's got to be over 500,000 people, then there's always going to be common interest groups. There's always going to be free talks you can go to, things like this. And so you're looking to just join as many of these groups, as many of these Facebook groups, as many of these notification emails, whatever it is as possible. So you're constantly getting a stream of events about these interests coming into your awareness. So why are you doing all this? Okay, you're doing all this because what you want to do is you need to create a lifestyle that has you regularly and consistently going to social events that are going to be of interest to you. consistency is the most important thing. If you can't find enough social events around common interest every week, or let's say some weeks there's 2 or 3 things going on and other weeks there's only one, in the weeks where there's only one thing going on, go to a singles event that week instead. The idea is to create consistency so that you have a lifestyle where you know you're going to be going out, being social with new people at least twice a week. And the idea when you go to these events is it's not just to focus on trying to pick up girls. No, the idea of going to these events is to be friendly, to be social, to start talking to a lot of people, to be that guy who's talking to everyone. Because what'll happen is you'll start to have good connections with some people and not great connections with other people. But if there's any woman who you start to click with, who you start to get along with, you're going to have more than one opportunity to get to know her in future events. Okay, so I understand this probably sounds like a lot of work. Why would you want to go through all this effort? Let's talk about it, because I want to start talking about some of the real pros to lifestyle network dating, starting with the absolutely ridiculous volume of new women that you're going to meet. Think about it right now. How many new women do you meet on average every week? 1, 2, tops. For most guys, it's probably 0. If you go to 2 events every week where there's going to be women, where there's going to be lots of people, how many women are you going to meet that week? 10, 15, 20? That's a hell of a lot of opportunities to click with someone. That's a hell of a lot of opportunities to practice your social skills with women. And the second really amazing thing about lifestyle network dating is that you can get really insanely targeted for the kinds of women that you want to meet. Do you want a woman who's spiritual? Do you want a woman who's business-minded? Do you want a woman who's really well-educated? Do you want a woman who thinks deeply about things? Do you want a woman who likes physical activity? Whatever it is that you want in your ideal woman, it is far easier to find a whole group of them in one space than it is if you simply go out to a park or go out to a club. The third pro, and this is a big one, you're never going to have to face rejection. Yes, it can feel daunting going to an event and talking to strangers, but everyone is going to talk back to you. Everyone's going to be interacting with you. Because again, that's why people are there. People go to these things to learn something new. They go to this event to meet people who are like-minded. So everyone's going to be social. You never have to deal with the rejection again this way. The next pro, which I really love as a dating coach, is you are absolutely turbocharging the rate at which you can learn social skills. Because 90% of dating skills are just basic social skills. And when you're constantly meeting new people, constantly having new interactions twice a week without facing rejection, you can really get focused on the skills you need. You can get focused on banter, and you can get focused on building rapport, and you can get focused on small talk at a rate that you just couldn't do if you're only cold approaching. The next pro is that you're going to be living your best life. Most of the guys who come to me do not have a healthy enough social life. And yes, I understand many of the guys who come to me are introverts, but introverts still need social life. We live in an isolated age. We live at a time where it's easier to isolate ourselves from everyone else in the world. We live in a time where it's really easy for you guys to go home after work and just sit at home and watch Netflix. But that is not emotionally healthy, even if it feels comfortable to you right now. And the next thing is that your interactions with women are going to be far more organic and natural. If you cold approach a woman in a bar, if you're not super smooth, it's going to feel forced and awkward. If you go on a Tinder date, same thing. A lot of Tinder dates are really forced and awkward. It's like we're here to try to date each other. But with this lifestyle networking method, what you're really doing is you're just meeting people without that expectation. Okay, how about some of the cons? I don't even think they're cons. Let's call them not pros. The first thing, of course, is the time it takes. This seems like a lot. Going to 2 social events a week. Well, here's the truth of the matter. If you're on online dating, how much time do you waste going on dates? If you even get dates, but let's assume you do. Because anyone who's getting dates should also be going on dates 1 or 2 nights a week. Yeah? Anyone who's doing cold approaching should be practicing at least 1 night a week. And if they're getting any numbers, getting any success at all, they should be going on 1 or 2 dates a week. That's 3 nights a week. You're not consuming a lot more of your time through this method. It's just that a lot of guys aren't used to actively working on their dating lives. And that's why this can seem like a lot. Now, I know it can be pretty daunting and scary going to an event all on your own where you don't know anyone. And sure, you could invite a friend, and maybe you could do that to make it feel a little easier in the beginning, but I recommend you go alone, because when we go alone, that's when we meet the most people. When you go with a friend, it's too easy to isolate yourselves and just chat amongst each other. And yes, it will be a little hard at the start, but it is a hell of a lot easier than going and cold approaching. It is a hell of a lot easier than dealing with all the frustration and rejection you're bound to get with online dating. And the last thing I'll say is that you still need to purposely practice your social skills. And I can't really underestimate this. If you're going to do the lifestyle network dating strategy, you still have to actively practice banter, small talk, building rapport. If you just go to these events week after week after week and never really practice the skills specifically, you just go there and randomly talk to people, unless you already have good social skills, you're never really going to have a great experience meeting women this way, because you still have to be likable, and likable in a relatively small period of time, and that's a skill that you have to learn. The great part about lifestyle network dating isn't that it removes your need to make a good impression, it's that it makes the process easier and more organic, and most importantly, you just don't have to face rejection with this strategy. So guys, it's not completely random that I've been making this video. The truth is that I've been starting to get more and more of my prospective clients, especially my Zoom coaching clients who aren't anywhere near me, and especially my divorcee clients, the over 35s group who sometimes don't want to go back to bars and clubs to meet women. I've been getting them to use this strategy, and they've been doing incredibly well. They're going out and they're practicing their skills, and they're meeting 20, 30 new women every single week, and as a result, they're going on a lot of dates, they're having a lot of success and a lot of fun without that rejection. If you've been doing this yourself, please let us know about it in the comments below. If you'd like to give this a try, give it a 1-month trial. Go out, start joining some groups, find out where are your ideal women likely to be at, and go and start meeting them, making new friends, being social, and then write back to me in the comments below. How was that experience for you? Guys, as always, thank you so much for watching. If you loved this video, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, as it helps me a ton.